Hi everybody, it's Adam from LUCIDPIXUL, and this is attempt number 5 to record this video because every single time I try, I lose my cool. And it ends up becoming this very angry rant. So yeah, here's the problem. I'm trying to do a review for Photoshop for the iPad that just came out around 48 hours ago. Something, of course, I, like everybody else, is hugely excited about. Because this is kind of a glimmer of hope for where we're going with the iPad moving forward, where we have a professional app that we can take Photoshop, the industry standard Photoshop. I repeat, industry standard Photoshop, and take that and grab it on the road, go to a cafe, sit down and continue where we left off. And my first 10-second impression of it was, oh, we're on the right track. First impression, I opened it up. Ooh, okay, familiar interface, really cool. The 2020 look to it, excellent. I like the way it integrates with the desktop app, cool. All that's nice. And I went to open up a large Photoshop file, something I'd already been working on. If you want to see it, that's my last video I just posted, the work by Ravenloft painting. And it opened it up. Good, excellent, good. And it syncs really nicely with Creative Cloud. Wonderful. And it opened up right away. So far, so good. And then I started to paint. And it took me about 15 seconds for me to almost, within that period of sitting there with excitement, to 15 seconds later, I was one step away from taking my iPad and frisbeeing it across the room. That's how annoyed I was with this application. But not for the reasons that most people are complaining. A lot of people are like photographers and stuff. They're saying, "Oh, you can't load RAW files and stuff like that," or not all the Photoshop filters are there. I don't give a crap. I'm not going to whine and complain about the fact that there's missing features. I'll give Adobe the time to be able to release those. It's for the default, rudimentary, everyday things that should function on any app, or things that that Adobe have already developed and fleshed out and designed over decades, that I've been using for decades, that they've decided to either butcher or change. And it's not the first time that Adobe did this. And when I realized what was going on, I literally just sat there and went, why would you do this? So I won't rant. I want to actually just take you through the process. I want to reenact my experience. So I opened up a file. I'm not going to open up the original Photoshop file that I was working on. I'm just starting with a blank document. I created a new layer, and I start looking at the interface, and so far, so good. Excellent. Oh, that should be moved over here. Actually, originally I had it over. Originally it was docked, so it was docked in here like this. Cool. I like that docking feature. Really pretty, really nice. But I'll take it and move over here for what it's worth. And you can switch between the compact or the full layers mode. Really, really nice. I was a little bit like, where do I clip mask? I realized there's a clip mask and a masking button already there. The show or hide layer button. Cool. That's fine. You can press and hold. You get you got adjustment layers and stuff like that. So, oh, that's cool. I'm digging it. And then I want to draw. Now, before I do anything, the perspective I'm taking is one of an illustrator, not a photographer. So I just need to be able to grab a brush, a specific, well-feeling, well-designed brush that works well for what I want it to, i.e. Photoshop brush, because that is what I've been using for the last 20 years. And I want to open it. I want to paint with it. And then I want to use the eyedropper tool to be able to blend, and maybe use the smudge tool, but I don't use the smudge tool that much. Create new layers. Really, really basic stuff. But being a, quote, professional tool, one of the things that iPad developers only started to catch on to later into the game, like Procreate or ArtStation or PaintStorm or any of them, was professionals use these. Professionals don't use on-screen buttons. On-screen buttons is if I'm doodling, I'm sitting down, I'm watching a YouTube video, and I'm just sitting there and I'm sketching. I'm sketching, I'm doodling, I'm having fun, I'm wasting time. I'm not sitting down, I'm not bracing myself to do some professional work here. So when it comes to professional stuff, my workflow is all happening here. It's like typing, right? You don't want to look, a beginner typer will look down and go, W, H, Y, space, right? But a professional just types, erase, types. You've got your eyes on the, you have your eyes on the prize. Well, the same thing when it comes to painting. I don't look at my keyboard shortcuts. I've got 20 years of muscle memory there. I don't need to look at this stuff. So my hands know exactly where to go. And I just paint, keyboard, transform, Control U, Control L, Control M, E, eraser, clip mask, alt. All those things are very default for me. And this is Photoshop, ladies and gentlemen. This is Photoshop. So keyboard shortcuts, well, that should be plug and play. That should be right out of the gates. It should be working. But whatever. So B, brush. So far, so good. And I can see here, I can use the scaler to do that. But then I do this and I'm looking and I'm going, it's giving me the measurement here on the thing, but I don't see the cursor. Now you at home probably see the cursor, but I don't. Why? Well, because I'm right-handed and because that thing's over to the right. Cursor in the middle of the screen, sliders here. So as it's sliding behind my hand. I don't see it. It's in the middle of the screen and I'm crossing over the screen, and it's the preview, the brush preview is not where my eyes are. They're hiding behind my hand in the middle of the screen. So it took me about 5 or 6 attempts to kind of go, okay, grab a color and go, okay, that size. No, it's too big. Okay, this size, too small. And I was like, for God's sakes, right away, just getting my brush sizes, I'm already getting annoyed. So I'm like, okay. And then I realized that the cursor was behind my hand. So I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Okay, fine. So I'll do this. And I'll move it over there, over on top of my layers panel, I guess. So that forces me to have to do something like this, maybe. I don't know. Can I dock it down here? No, I can't dock. Oh, just, okay. So this means I have to do this. So when I want to draw, think about it from a flow perspective. The Emperor's Groove. You know what I'm saying? I'm drawing and I have to draw, move my eyes away, find the right size, go back, draw. Now when you're a professional artist, you are scaling your brush dynamically using keyboard shortcuts, right? So right there, the very fact that I have to move my hand away, slide it, automatically is telling you, not only is this poorly designed, but I have to rearrange my workspace for a program that I already worked out a workspace. I already know I've got my shit all set up here. No, it's the iPad, but come on. This isn't complicated crap, right? So, you know, what they're basically saying is this is for touch, right? So I can go like this. I change my brush size. Okay, yeah, well, whatever, it works fine. Okay, fine. So that's that. And then I try the bracket keys and I'm like, oh, cool. Bracket keys work well and it's in small increments, but there's a problem with this. When you use the keyboard shortcuts, you don't get the brush cursor preview. So I'm doomed if I do and I'm doomed if I don't. If I use the slider, I get a preview, but I can't see it. If I use the keyboard shortcuts, I can incrementally scale it, but I can't see the size of my brush. This messes your flow. When you are pressing that button constantly as you're painting, it's like they work in tandem. Brush size plus, you're a painter. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You can probably nodding your head right now. Okay, so annoyance number 1, not the end of the world. Maybe they can update it, whatever. Stop being a baby at it. Okay, fine. So brush, okay. Now let's blend. So color picker. What? They don't have keyboard shortcuts? This one maybe? Oh, no? Huh? Okay, well, it's a new version. It's the 1.0. So, sorry if there's a bit of mic noise there. Okay, so Alt. Come on, Photoshop. Guys, you're the one who invented Alt, remember? No. Okay, well, yeah, like I said, maybe they didn't implement keyboard shortcuts. It's fine. Take your time. You know, I understand you had to get it out before 2020. It's fine. Oh, okay. Keyboard shortcuts. Oh, okay. So they do have okay, well, keyboard shortcut. Okay, cool. So do we have Eyedropper? Oh, there it is, Eyedropper. And I look over to the left and I go, you see? I. Since when has the Eyedropper been I? Now you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I wouldn't pick on them too much. It's just a keyboard shortcut. It's just a button. Oh, it's a big problem because making it I changes my hand positioning. It changes how I draw. Now my hand is up here while I'm drawing instead of down here. I'm not working in an open fashion. I'm crossing my hands over. It's kind of not a very comfortable, intuitive way. But I'm thinking, but why change it, Adobe? You designed these shortcuts. Other apps followed suit. You set the standards. Everybody else followed them. Congratulations. Take your award. You win. Why would you change it now? It's like back in 2019, when the CC 2019, when they decided to change all the legacy shortcuts. So your transform and your undos were just reversed. Why? And then everybody got annoyed. So then, oh, I'm sorry. So you click the use legacy brushes and it only partially fixed the problem. I'm still using Photoshop 2018 because I was so bloody annoyed with that stupid decision. So I'm sitting there going, why the hell would you do something like that? So now you're doing it again with this, where you're using the eye for eyedropper. So I thought, okay, well, at least let me be able to click on it and change it back to alt. But no, what you see is what you get, guys. Now I'm thinking, okay, maybe they'll update it. But this is first impressions, Adobe. And you're changing something that already works. Why did you choose eye? Why? Because there was some moron in the R&D department that said eye sounds like eyedropper. The other option is on my pen, for a Wacom pen, that I use this. I actually use this top button as my alt key. So I don't actually use my keyboard anymore. I just go boop, boop. I'm doing everything with my pen so I can drink my latte and do my thing, right? But Photoshop, accidentally, as I'm trying to draw, my image does, oh, I didn't touch my screen. Okay, zoom out. And then every now and then it would do this again. It would start wigging out. I'm like, this is both an Apple complaint and a Photoshop complaint. This double tap feature is nothing but a distraction and a nuisance because it triggers too easily. Unless you're sitting there and gripping your pen with this consistent grip, if you lift your pen up at all, the subtlest touch keeps wigging it out. So depending on what feature you've got this double tap set to, usually it's something completely useless like eraser and brush. I'm brushing and they've decided to make this full screen. Well, can I disable it? No. What you see is what you get. Can I customize it? No. What you see is what you get. It's the full screen mode, which basically somebody, again, at the R&D department at Adobe thought to themselves, you know what people need to do 65,000 times a day? You know what they need a very quick double tap shortcut feature to is? Full screening. Draw, full screen. Draw, full screen. Full screen, full screen. Is that how people work, Adobe? Do you have any artists working on your team? Okay, sorry, give me a sec. I need a break. I'm good. Whew. I need to meditate after this. So anyways, yeah, double tap full screens, which means as you're drawing, your image keeps doing this every 2 seconds. Tell me that's not a jarring experience. So pen. Confided the pen pressure works nicely. These feel like Photoshop brushes, but then came another thing. My brushes are my instrument. It's my professional tool. It's like Harry Connick Jr.'s piano. It's the tool that you practice and master every single day. So I need my Photoshop brushes, the default ones that I use. So of course it's Photoshop, duh. Of course you're going to be able to install Photoshop brushes. Well, maybe there is, because I haven't really looked that extensively, but I cannot for the life of me find any way to, come on you, double tap. You've got a default set of brushes, but I can't seem to import my own brushes. If there's a way to, let me know in the comments below, but otherwise, where are they? Because this is Photoshop, right? Other apps are allowing you to use ABRs. Why can't I do this in the program that created the Adobe brush? So anyways, you can't. So I. Now here's another problem with the I for the eyedropper tool. Alt is a modifier like Shift or Control, meaning it's a press and hold. Alt, touch, draw. Alt, touch, draw. It's a very quick and seamless thing. I'm drawing. I move my hand over here, so I'm doing the crossover hand thing. I have to lift my pen, touch to sample. It automatically switches back to brush, kind of like a Procreate thing. And then I paint. I touch, paint. I touch, paint. I feel like my hands, the way I'm not touching the screen. Oh yeah, and their palm rejection so far doesn't work well either, so my knuckles keep doing this shit all the time. Okay, like that, but that's not a big deal. But I'm painting like I just got my nails done, and my nail polish is still wet. I'm painting, I'm drawing like I'm not drawing like a real artist where I'm coming in here and I'm painting and I'm going alt, paint, alt, paint. I'm not doing that. I'm going paint. So brush size, brush tool, eyedropper tool, garbage. And unnecessarily garbage because you already had it working. You had me at hello. Whoo-wee. All right. So B for brush, paint, I, tap, I'm annoyed. And then I accidentally do this while I'm painting. And I'm doing this. This is happening to me while I'm trying to do a review. And I'm sitting there so annoyed I can't even finish a goddamn sentence because every time I try to say something, I get cut off with another stupidity. This is the easy stuff. This is the small potatoes, guys. And you fucked up the small potatoes. Excuse my French. Okay? So I thought, you know what? I don't want to walk away on a negative note. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to speak in third person. Adam's going to go out of Adam's way to show you how to fix all this. To get that functionality back from Photoshop that you want. I'm sure all of you Brits out there are very impressed with I don't even know what accent that is. I'm going to fix this. And I actually figured out a 2-step fix to all of this to get all of that functionality and convenience back into your painting. 2 steps. First step, swipe. Second step, open Art Studio Pro. Fixed. You think I'm kidding? B, brush. Grab a color. Paint. These are my Photoshop brushes. Look at that. And they all work like Photoshop brushes. There's the one I got from Anthony Jones's set, the triangle brush, the hard round, scale it up, keyboard shortcuts. Oh, look at that. Hey, look at that. I can see what size my brush is. Eyedropper tool. Look at that. Alt, paint, alt, paint, alt, paint, alt, paint. Double tap my pen. Look at that. Disabled. But I could also customize it and make it anything I want. I could make it the eyedropper tool if I want, but it's just always eyedropping by accident because this button sucks. Now, in future iterations of the app, when everything's fixed and everything like that, fine. It might turn out to be my favorite app. But the fact that these rudimentary things, these basic entry-level things, I couldn't even get into a painting without getting in a completely foul mood because everything was going nuts and everything was reversed on me for no proper reason, to me, means your R&D department and your testers aren't doing their job properly. Because if I was your tester, like anybody else, any of my students that have been working in Photoshop for the last maybe only 6 months, could point out those mistakes in 2 seconds. And it boggles the mind how millions of dollars in R&D and you still haven't gotten that shit figured out. So, sorry Adobe. My recommendation to get Photoshop working is use Art Studio Pro. That's my recommendation. And that's it.